And go. Hi, everyone. It's Scott, and this is the entity discussion meeting today. We're going to look at some documents. Who's with me today? Matt, go.
I'm not here.
There's Matt, there's Kurt. All right. We're all introduced to each other. Like we haven't met before, right? All right. So, I mean, the agenda is pretty breezy. It's just some questions. I was hoping there'd be more people, present to talk about that stuff. But I mean, just getting the path moving forward to the project and staying on time with it. Okay.
Any updates on the copy editing and was it logo? I forget what exactly it was. Is that on your list?
One more time.
The last meeting that I was at was copy editing the website, and that was the other group.
That was a comms meeting, yeah. Right now I've separated the entity group and the events team because we were kind of merging back and forth.
Yeah.
We're just focused on the entity stuff. And the last time we talked, it was just, okay, how do we get these documents started? And Sarah, you met Sarah, Kurt, from our camp.
Yes, of course.
Came on board to help look at the documentation. I started the basic documents. Matt's already edited a couple of them. And then our goal is then just to put it out to the community and let them see what we're doing, give them a chance to comment on it. I mean, I think we're creating, I think we've stuck to the things that we've wanted to do, creating a structure, that's transparent, that has, clear rules for everybody involved. In some of the documentation I put together using some templates for nonprofits, I've used those, but I've also highlighted things that I have questions about within those documents. Like a couple of the documents say very specifically, there's no members, of these groups, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if I'm getting caught up on semantics or if that's just a legal term or, how does our quote unquote membership participate in this kind of thing?
I think that's a question for Nick or a lawyer.
Okay.
Because it does have specific legal implications.
Yeah, totally. I mean, good and bad. There's a good side and a bad side to it. So, and everybody that we've talked to, even the website that I've linked on the documents, talks about making sure that you use very specific wording. And maybe that membership wording is that very specific loophole that they want to make sure that we talk about in the official documents. So even like Aaron brought this up, I think Nick brought this up too, and said you've really got to be careful with some of the wording that you use, otherwise someone could really screw you over. But I also noticed there was some advice in there about IRS language used very specifically in certain areas too, which, is in there verbatim. But as you guys get a chance to look it over, and if there's questions, I'm assuming that did either or both of you get a chance to look over these documents?
I have not, actually. I didn't see them. I didn't see the agenda until just a few moments ago. So I will do that right away.
Well, it's not something we need to fix tonight. It's just we need to start putting this in front of eyes. We need to make sure that the words that we're using are legally sound, some of the things that we need to, include in, I think policies and procedures are, discussions about consent and other stuff as we go down the line, interpersonal community behavior and stuff like that. Different things that we've talked about, making sure are included in this that apply not only to board members, but, members of the community as far as standards are concerned. The deeper I went into trying to find just the mission statement, the case statement, the bylaws, and the articles of incorporation, I started seeing there's other documents that are out there. When I started the policies and procedures thing, I was like, oh, okay, I can just write this. And then I did a quick search on nonprofit policies and procedures. And I got all these documents that go, oh my God, you need to create this and you need to create this. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot there. And even that document that I'm using as the template for the policies and procedures right now, I mean, the stuff that I've just copied and pasted the instructions right into that. And it's very detailed too. It's like you realize that you really got a lot. There's a lot of work to getting there.
But I think that's why, like, again, I'll stress the need to define what we are as an organization, like our mission, and that I think that case statement will really help too. That one pager.
I know you've looked them over, and I know you've put some input on them. And contextually speaking, I mean, you moved around stuff in the mission statement that I wrote, but essentially it's the same things. But it seems like so far we're on the same page. Would that be a fair statement?
I think so. Yeah. I think we have some more work to do on the case statement. I was hoping Sarah could take a look and maybe provide an example, since she's most familiar with how those are written, based upon her experience with nonprofits. So I think once we have those two, the other documents will be a lot easier. And with Nick's help, actually filling out, all the fields and the paperwork that we need is going to be easier. Like I'm sure he'll have a lot of good feedback on do's and don'ts, and based upon our mission statement, on our case statement, like he can kind of help us write a lot of this too, and provide feedback. That's what, like, a CPA or a lawyer will get you the advantage of going that direction.
Cool. Okay. So right now we're at a point where we need people with knowledge to start looking at this and giving us feedback. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say let's start with the mission statement and case statement. And, once we are happy with, once we have a draft of those that we're ready to share, then let's share it with the wider community via email, social media. Like, let's get some feedback. And then we can, I think, in parallel, engage Nick. And I haven't talked to him since we last discussed kind of our meeting with him. So we can contact Nick, get that going, and figure out what the next steps are for actually forming the entity.
I wanted to ask a question. So it seems to me like we have a lot of documentation, a lot of language that it captures a lot of the essence of what we're trying to do. I just wanted to know the role of the let's say Nick or whoever we want to hire to to sort of shepherd the process, right? it seems like that person is going to be working as a consultant really with the primary actors here to get the language to conform to the requirements of the filing, right? So I think that's just an important thing to keep in mind. Like I wouldn't want to hand it over to somebody to take what's been written so far and you know, completely reformulate it, but rather work really hand in hand with that person or with a primary writer in order to you know, ensure that it's not transformed beyond recognition to comply with what's needed, you know, for the.
I mean, I think one thing, you know, Matt's pass over it, you know, I don't know if you can see the versions, but you can see where he really kind of took my thoughts that I threw at the page and kind of reordered them, which, you know, it needed to happen. He did some cleaning up of some of the stuff that I wrote for the case statement too. But I think the spirit is there for where we're going with it. And as I mean, if you guys are reading it and you add things to it, then or you have suggestions, either one will work. You know, then we'll just work with those as we go forward, I think.
Yeah, I can see the changes on my version, so that's cool. I will just to be aware of it.
One thing I really like is that you can see what I initially wrote, and then with a single click, you can see, you know, Matt's edits to it.
Cool.
Because I mean, I do consider myself a decent writer, but I'm not, you know, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are the next items we want to discuss?
Well, I mean, one of the things, so we finally decided that we're going to go with Nick then?
I mean, that's my suggestion.
I mean, I'm very comfortable with that too, and I think that's a really good direction. I remember just a meeting, one of our meetings, and I think it was when Aaron was at. One of the things, he wanted to bring some other options to the table, but
yeah, I don't.
Where he is with that.
You emailed him, right?
I did. I mean, he answered me back the one time, so.
Okay.
Do you have a feeling on this, Kurt?
Nick or no Nick or Aaron's
Yeah.
input or what? I mean, I thought he had some good ideas. I wanted to hear what he was coming back with. Are you saying that he didn't come back with anything?
Who, Nick or Aaron?
He was going to talk to some people, I think, and I forget exactly what his action step was, but I thought he was going to talk to someone who's familiar with the filing process and maybe make a recommendation or something like that. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, I think you're right. He wanted to bring back some other ideas to the table. He said he's got some family stuff, so he hasn't been back for that. Okay. At least that's what I got from an email that I got from him. That was it.
Well, absent any other input, then I'm comfortable with Nick. He's obviously a great, you know, member of the community and has inside information, so it's good.
Okay. Then, so let's make this then. Let's table the documents and get people looking at this. I was hoping to hear from Nexus today on this too. I was hoping he had a chance to see. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hello. Whoops. Nexus. Ah.
Hi.
Hi. Was that you on the phone too?
It was.
Oh, okay. That crazy echo.
Yeah. I'm so sorry I'm late.
It's okay. We were just starting into the agenda. And did you get a chance to look over the documents?
I did not.
Okay. So we were kind of talking about that, and we're talking about taking this time to table that possibly for the next meeting, where we really get people to kind of put their teeth into these, at the two priority ones being the mission statement and the case statement. Maybe make suggestions on the document. Matt's already done some editing from the initial document that I put on there and cleaned up some of my thoughts, which is awesome. And then some of the other documents are started, but we're talking about getting those first two documents in place and where they stand, and where they can stand, and then approaching the other two documents, possibly starting to include Nick, who is a CPA, right, Matt? He's a CPA and somebody who does this professionally, and is also directly connected with Burners Without Borders, who
Nice.
met with us about a month and a half ago, who's got us rolling down this road. And we're looking at hiring him as a paid consultant through this process. So if we table this for 2 weeks from now and kind of go hardcore into what we have and get people actively engaged with it, then we can start getting ready for to meet our milestones, which is hopefully have this done before the end of December, and introduce it in January as the new season starts coming up. What?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Any context into, because sometimes, you've probably seen mission and vision statements kind of like paired together, and any context around a vision statement as being a part of this, or if that's something like for later, or if it's just not something that's been talked about yet.
This is the first time someone's brought up a vision statement.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot on this journey. Matt's have some experience in this. I don't know what experience Kurt has with this.
Career in nonprofit management.
What's that?
A career in nonprofit management.
Oh, that's all? Okay. Well, I'm learning a lot through this process too. So I went kind of hardcore on my last weekend and just jumped in and started writing, and then Matt started editing, and we're just trying to get things ducks in a row is all.
Cool. Well, since I'm late, any other questions I can ask you later, and for now, just pretend like I've been here the whole time, and whatever you're talking about, let's just keep going.
Well, I mean, a vision statement's a good question. I mean, Matt, is that something that we should have on the table for this, or is there?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Google search to find out what a vision statement is. So,
If I remember correctly, it's like what your mission statement is, like what you do, why you exist. Your vision statement is like, here's how we're going to change the world, or
How you
Like-
like things to be, right? How you like.
If we succeed in our mission and we're no longer relevant or necessary because we've done the thing, this is the world we've created.
oh, wow.
We envision a world in which there's no discrimination.
Right. I think theoretically, right, and this part of what we can go into, like talking about why nonprofits are actually like a perfect example of like capitalism and actually like oppressive structures. But like most nonprofits should exist to make themselves irrelevant. Like if they succeed in the work they do,
Work yourself out of a job.
right. And again, sorry I'm late. I was hosting a sing-along in my backyard and it went, I mean, it ended on time, but it took a little longer to clean up everything. So
Okay. All right. Cool. I can see the where that's going. That's going to require some thought before I dive into that, or if anybody wants to dive into that. Okay.
I have a tendency to like be prepared to volunteer myself for things that I ask about. So I'd be more than happy to.
That's fine. I did put a blank document just called vision statement in the folder. and then I wrote a little note just about your comment. So that's all that's in there right now. I just added it real quick. Can you get to that folder?
I don't think that's required. The vision statement is not required for the filing. It's more for our own internal guidance, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt for us to have it in here. It's like kind of like what Matt was saying, as if we have our, if we're on, you know, if we have our plan written out from every angle, then we can answer any question and be on the same page, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because we're gonna. I mean, eventually we would want to have goals and objectives and activities, and organized under like a program structure for each of the points that we have in our mission statement. It's all sort of, and it like stacks up, in these points.
It's growing and growing.
So if you want to operationalize your mission statement, then you have to do something about it. I mean, right? So that's. And like none of that's required for the filing for the organization, but it's in terms of our own operations and accountability, really.
And I think that's probably something we could start doing on the bottom of the page where the mission statement is at, where we maybe start putting those bullet points and how to make the mission statement operational. Did you want to take a whack at that and just kind of add a section underneath that to?
Sure, and. This is the kind of thing that would ideally be taken care of, like in a retreat where everyone could sit down, and we can have a facilitated session that has that as the product.
Okay.
So that we all.
We're all going to your house.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I would love to facilitate something like that at the right time. It's a little premature now, but that's the kind of thing that I would love to do with a group of people that's committed to the organization, where we have a lot of people wanting to put their input in. And lacking a structure to do that, that's where a facilitator could really help, so that everyone's voice is captured and no one voice is, broadcasting louder than the others. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's been the, in a way, it's kind of been the downfall of Queer Burners, because it's been one voice for a long time. Even those other people have been helping with it here and there. It's this facelift and this, little plastic surgery and changes that we're doing here are going to.
Program.
What's that?
Little exercise program.
Yeah, right, exactly. Cool. Okay, so in the course of our discussion so far, we've talked about putting some focus on our mission statement and our case statement for the next phase, but to get everybody involved in those documents and start putting some suggestions and changes into that. If Nexus wants to go ahead and take a whack at the vision statement, I'm just going to ask that we don't wait till the last minute on some stuff. Because if it waits till the last minute, then I'm probably going to want to just jump in there and start doing it. That's just, I can't wait. You know what I mean? Like if I got downtime, I'm likely to just start doing it, and then it becomes me again. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because I feel I'm really attached to this project, and that's good and bad. So, and that's why I'm trying to get us to a place where it's not just a Scott thing. It's, a community thing.
Yeah. I'll let you know, I'm already thinking I'm probably going to like repurpose a lot of like what I blogged about for Burning Man in terms of All of Us 2018, in terms of like what I got from it in Queer Burners. So like if it sounds familiar, that's why.
Well, we also want to keep Queer Burners, like what I'm trying to, it's more than just All of Us. It's it's described in the case statement anyways, is like there's our new website, which will be very mission focused and information for the community, history, camp information. There is the evolution right now is also our events part, which will be all of us and maybe some other stuff. And then my brain is freezing up here. The third leg of that is, and what I really want to see come out of this is a channel to support community artists, you know, especially anybody that's going to Burning Man if Burning Man happens again, or regional events, or not specifically just in that specific group, but you know, even if it is a community member that is working on art or performance, that we can help them by being a 501c3, working with other 501c3s, and helping them get funding for their projects. All right, that's what but if there's more that we can do, I want to hear about it, you know.
Scott, you were involved in the global leadership conferences, and you know, since this is, you know, considered sort of on par with a regional burn, right? Essentially, it's a regional event, let's say.
I'd say 2018 was the most regional-like event that we've had so far. It was very, I felt like I was at a regional in 2018.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so I'm wondering if from that network, are there any resources that you know, see, or, you know, off the top of your head can think of that would help us in our process now? Anything that was offered to regionals in terms of organizing or recruiting, for example? Like, how do you get people involved? Any lessons learned or best practices from that network that might be helpful for us? Because I feel like we've kind of put the call out there, but we're not getting the response that ideally an organization like this is going to need.
Well, right now we're out of season. We got to kind of really realize where we're. I think this, and I don't mean to cut anybody off. I'm just realizing exactly where we're at right now. Is we're out of season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically in a typical year, people are like, "Fuck Burning Man, I don't want to think about it for 3 more months." You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that are just, they've moved on to something else for now. And when it starts coming time for tickets and thinking about the burn for 2021, that's when people start, you know, taking their head out of the sand. And I think the more we talk about what we're doing, people see there's something going on, you know. You know, when I've talked to some people, even when I reach out to Nexus, he's like, you know, what's going on, you know? And I kind of give him an update at that point. And I don't think you really knew that we were going down this road right now, did you? I don't think a lot of people are paying attention.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, fair enough.
And I think that's just the time of year that we're in right now. And with all this Michigas going on, it's just, you know, amplified that. And there's so much white noise out there that people have just got their head in the sand.
I kind of was under the impression that, like me, people are so anxious, or not anxious, but so eager to see anything related to Burning Man happening that they would be jumping at the opportunity just to participate. But I understand that that's not necessarily the case. So,
yeah, and we are doing something that my impression of, and I'm happy for somebody to tell me I'm wrong. You know, we're focusing on a core, or not a core, but a certain segment of the Burning Man population. Whereas most burner leadership, you know, if you look at the bigger picture, is looking at everybody, but we're looking at, you know, a group within that structure, which isn't necessarily how Burning Man wants, I think, the community looked at. I know we have allies, and we know we have a ton of LGBT people working at Burning Man, but we also we want our gayborhood, we want our queerborhood, we want to share our sandbox, but yeah, we have a slightly different beat than the wider community,
and justifiably so. You know, I think it's important that we keep pointing that out, that it's for a reason.
Also, I think something Starduster related to what you brought up. When a friend of mine who's never been to the Burn, who's a queer DJ here in DC, he saw me post about joining the Purple Circle for Comfort and Joy. He was like, I want to talk to you about Cants for Burning Man. Like, even though he knows it's not. So I think it's interesting because, like, yeah, I think a lot of the folks who've been before are kind of like in this cycle. But there's a lot of people who've never been who I've been talking to are like, how can I start planning now? Like, what do I have to do to get ready? Like, I know it's happening for a while, but I feel like this is something that I'm going to need to take my time to get ready for, and especially queer people. So I think as it might relate to some of the work we're doing, I think there's also an interesting population that, again, just what Stardust has said, is actually like ready to at least like begin figuring out how to plug in because they're not plugged in at all.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and there's a few people that have said, I want to be involved, but I just want to volunteer and help out at the event, or something like that. And 6 months ago, we thought we were going to be able to do something in October, but we're not now. And then, right now we're looking at summer, but that's another conversation. All right, I'm going to jump back to the agenda real quick. I think just as you were coming on Nexus, we started talking about Nick in a little bit of detail about how we felt about him being our paid, what's the word I'm trying to use?
Consultant?
What's Nick's role? I'm having a blank spot.
I mean,
As a contractor, like, someone who's helping us get all this documentation put together.
he's a CPA that primarily specializes in nonprofit work and has done a number of filings, nonprofit filings. So, I know him from the hackerspace community way back when I was younger, and he's good people. He isn't charging a lot. Actually, it's really cheap for helping us get to a point where we can submit all of our documentation, both federally and in California.
I think it was the $1,600 is what he was talking about charging us, which includes all the filing fees and all that.
Yeah, we need to break those out because like he's not getting 1,600, he's getting 800, and 800 goes directly to the government.
Yeah, and I just did one corporation before, and I think I remember spending about that, close to that, just getting that done. All right. Does anybody have any questions so far before I move on? So then in the next meeting, then we'll focus on the documents and getting people's feedback. I'll try and get Emily involved. She's a former Burning Man employee who's part of the queer community here who wants to help out too. She's working with the website group on the content there. And so we'll set that up for the meeting from 2 weeks from now.
What I'd suggest is, Scott, like the people who you think really care and would want to provide feedback on, like particularly our mission statement, the case statement, vision statement. I would email them or call them one-on-one and say, hey, do you have some time to take a look at this? And if they do, then send them the links to the like specific documents that you want feedback on.
You also include Sarah in this, right?
Yeah. Well, we've already emailed Sarah, so like I'll harass her later this week. Yeah. So Sarah, like I'm already talking to, but anyone else from the community that you think should be involved, because like just posting on Facebook you're going to get nothing right now.
No. It's too much noise out there right now.
And I noticed even when you sent an email to that Google group, it went to some folder in Gmail, and like I didn't see it for a while. So I think like we gotta break through the noise and the insanity of what's going on in our world right now. And one way to do that is just one-on-one emails, phone calls, texts, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to get through to people. Yeah. Uh, I, I wish I wasn't as connected as I am. All right. I think one of the things we also need to consider is who's going to be on this board of directors and in what role. Do you have any thoughts on that? Thoughts or feelings on that? I mean, there's the people that are showing up to these meetings. And in just my opinion and the way I've been writing it so far is like, we get a group from this group of people from our meeting, the comms team and stuff like that. And get those roles assigned. And then open for like an election once we get through the event year, like September next year is like the next time to like open it up. And you know, I feel like now certain people are getting involved that are not cisgendered white men. So, and thank you for joining us, Nexus, but it's been largely cis white males, and not to poop on white males or anything like that, but I don't think that's just the face we want to put forward. We have 2 women that are involved so far that have been showing up. So, you know, hopefully our diversity will just get better and better. I did put a request out to Gender Blender to see about getting people involved over there, but I think they're just waiting. I mean, in my opinion, and having done this for as many years as I have so far, is I think people are waiting to see that something's actually happening.
Yeah. But again, one way you can do that is to say, hey, here's what we've written up. Here's what we're doing, like one-on-one interactions, and get them involved. I mean, these
Exactly.
like the key people that we want their feedback at a minimum, like their feedback, but potentially to get them involved, you know, as a board member, as a volunteer, yeah, and helping us make this happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, so then would it be fair to say that after our meeting on the first Wednesday of September, or no, October? Oh God, that's coming up. That we should be able to finish that meeting and have something that can start going out to the people.
Yeah. And I think in the meantime, we should still get people's feedback, like at least a few people who we know and trust and think they have thoughts, and give enough fucks to weigh in.
You have admin access, I think, on that file, don't you? Let me see. Do you have Matt? Oh shoot, wrong button.
I can check. If
Okay.
not,
I'll work it out if it's not there, but okay. All right, let me go back to the agenda. So something else that I think we need to start getting the wheels turning on is fundraising. We don't need a lot of money to get this going. And there might be people that just want to just out and out donate. So I've had a thought about this process. Now I can just put the thought out, or I can write something up so it's more clear about what I'm thinking about doing. I've had success every year with fundraising this time of year to get, you know, deposits for whatever land that we're going with. And, you know, these are things that I can probably generate. Do you guys want me to go into that explanation, or do you want me to write something up like a proposal? What do you think would be better?
I have a question
Yes, sir.
about that. So we're able to, accept any kind of donation, but we're not a tax-free entity, so no one can claim the donation as a donation, right? A charitable donation for their taxes. But if we went under the umbrella of another organization, I think you can set up a relationship like that. I don't quite know exactly how that works, but have you given any thought to that, so that you can basically attract more donors because they can claim it as a charitable donation?
I think there's also a loophole, and I don't know if either of you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but because we are fundraising for our for this project that's becoming a 501c3, isn't there a period of donations before that point that people can still like if we are saying pending 501c3 status? What was that?
So that they can claim the donation? I don't know if there's a window of opportunity for that or not.
There is. I just don't know when it starts. I suspect it's after you've submitted all your paperwork and you're waiting for approval.
I see Nexus nodding.
That's something we can confirm with Nick. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So if we wanted to raise money before we actually file, since that's not going to happen until, you said by the end of the year, right?
The goal is to have everything in place by January 1st.
Yeah. So my question is, do we want to approach another organization that does have tax-free status that will allow us to accept donations as that it would be, what do you call it? That would be, you can claim as a donation on your taxes.
No, I
Whatever that-
understand.
So that relationship you work out with another.
Does that just get us into murky waters that we don't need to be in? I mean, that's a concern that I have.
I'm not sure, but I mean, I don't know. I just was really inquiring if you had given any thought to that. So it's really sounds like a new territory that we may not want to go into. But
it's new territory. I don't know if this is outside of radical self-reliance. I don't know if that opens us up for something that we're not prepared to be open for, if that's something we need to worry about. I mean, these are questions I'm just asking. I'm not stating facts.
Well, I know that, for example, like Burners Without Borders, haven't they in the past accepted donations on behalf of smaller projects that were in the process of developing their structures, for example? I think Comfort and Joy may do the same thing for smaller programs or projects that are fledgling or in the process. I don't know if factually anything about that, but I just have the impression, maybe vague memory.
We had such a great relationship. Comfort and Joy was one of our very first huge proponents in the community. They were the first people that were out there helping me wave the flag. Kitten, some other people, Pando, Coop, are people that have been really positive about this. And I mean, we can write to Joshua and see if that's something we can propose to them.
So I think we're overcomplicating things here.
Okay.
I'm
I'm easily drug into holes. So I thank you for the life preserver.
Yeah, Nexus posted in the chat here too. And that's what I thought. Yeah, so we can say our status is pending. And once we get the status, it's basically retroactive. So yes, we can. The question, it's just a matter of timing. I think we can start thinking about what our fundraising will look like in the meantime, and start putting together a plan. So I think documenting, your proposal or your ideas, Scott, is a good idea. Remembering that we have no tickets to sell right now. So
Yeah, I've got that in mind. I've actually got a plan for that. So in a way that, there's a way that people can just donate to donate. There's a way people can donate and still get something for that.
Yes.
And I think there's ways to do that. I mean,
the
money we need just to accomplish this is one thing. But
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about the amount of money that we may need for deposit and stuff like that when we do get that. And
Good question for Nick, I would say, since I'm sure he's familiar with the requirements of it. And
yeah, the information that's here in the chat is really helpful. So that really opens up us just being radically self-reliant, not worrying about, it being in anybody else's yard, and just taking care of our business. Thanks for the life rat there. I was ready to just dive down that rabbit hole.
I know.
It can
I
happen.
also wonder, because every time this has come up for me, like I'm part of a playwriting collective here in DC where we're dealing with like individual donors and cultivation. I'm always curious as to how many donors of any given community or organization actually like give to the point where they deduct on taxes, because I know for me, I don't, even though I donate, like I don't give the amount you need, you know what I mean? And like, I don't think it would necessarily change anything you're going to do, but I think it'd be an interesting way to at least engage the community, be like, hey, here's where we are in a process. Like, we just want to get to know a bit more about you as a donor. Do you actually deduct your charitable giving from your taxes? And like, I think it'd just be really interesting to actually know or have a general idea, so that when we're talking about things like this, we're not just like, because not everyone does, right? But some people do. And so I think just like the more we can actually know rather than guessing or talking about it vaguely, also like is a way to like be more intentional about these conversations and the choices we make.
I'm sure someone's done that research. I'll look into it as well, just to see if I can find anything. It's an interesting question.
Well, and just I think it's also kind of a marketing thing for us, that we can say we are in the process of getting a 501c3. So it's not like, oh, we're, some people who got together to start a thing and we want you to help us pay to start the thing so we can go make a bunch of money. Like, like that's not at all what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes that, because I also wear a communications hat too, as I'm sure some of you do too. Like part of the buy-in is simply like letting people know about the process as you're in it, rather than just when you get to the end of it. So like, it's not necessarily like inviting people to influence the choices that we're making in a significant way, but it's like, hey, we just want to keep you updated, right? To what you just said.
Yep, that's awesome. Thank you. All right, that's everything that I had on the agenda. I just want to point out that on every agenda too, at the bottom half of the page, I'm trying to put milestones. If there's something missing, then add, because I basically am keeping this going on all of the agendas so people can see what's going on for sure. Have we figured out how much time we need for that application process?
No, I think we should talk to Nick first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do we should start getting him involved in these conversations? Or maybe we can start after the next meeting, we can start sending him links to these docs.
Yeah, I'll email him and get a sense of what his availability is like, and give him a heads up that we're planning to move forward with him. I did just email Aaron as well, and CC'd you, Scott. Like, I'll give Aaron like a good 24 hours to get back to us. If he doesn't, like, let's move forward with Nick.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Nick's great, especially because he's like such a member of the community, and really knows what he's talking about. Just because Matt and I met with him not long ago, and I just felt like this guy just breathed this stuff, and it would be a good fit, and it's a good effective use of funds to make this happen. All right. Anybody else want to bring anything else up before we close out? So the meetings typically Nexus go for about an hour. Yep, go ahead.
Just a happy Bisexual Awareness Week.
Yay, Matt. Congratulations. I'm aware of you. I mean, we're all kind of bisexual, right? Yeah. I had a girlfriend once.
If you want to consider past history, sure.
Well, I mean, I've been known to, you know, I'm not, you know, well, I'm not.
For next time.
Oy vey. All right. Yeah, and then I don't know what meetings you want to be a part of. Nexus, the comms meeting is the next group. That's the only two groups that are meeting right now. We're focused on the website. There is documentation within the documents that we're talking about that they have to be aware of when it comes to, you know, identity, and there has to be certain things on the website when we do become 501c3. So these are all steps that I'll follow up with them at the next meeting. And anybody is welcome to attend, whoever wants to. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nexus, for joining us. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.